To this rainy Tuesday, May 14th, 2024. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Our invocation this morning will be led by Reverend Ted Stackpole, and our Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Paul Adamczak. If y'all would rise if you're able to do so.
Good morning. Would you bow your heads with me? Heavenly Father, as we gather in this assembly today, we come before you with hearts of gratitude for the opportunity to serve our community. We recognize your sovereignty over all things, and we seek your wisdom and guidance as we undertake the responsibilities entrusted to us. Lord, in this month of May, we are reminded of the significance of National Foster Care Month, and we lift up to you the children who are currently in foster care, knowing that each one is fearfully and wonderfully made in your image. May your love surround them, bringing them comfort and hope amidst uncertainty. We also remember the foster families who open their hearts and homes to these children, offering them love, stability, and support. Bless them abundantly for their selfless dedication. Father, we ask for your strength and wisdom to guide each decision today. Grant the insight for the commissioners to lead with compassion and justice, especially as they consider the needs of the most vulnerable in our community, including those within the foster care system. Help us to be mindful of the impact of our actions on all members of society, and may your grace abound in all that we do. We offer this prayer in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, who taught us to love one another as he has loved us. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend Stackpole. Thank you, Commissioner Adamczak. Do want to recognize in our audience today the Mayor Palaka is with us, Mayor Carrera. Thank you for being here. Our sheriff is here, over here, Gator Deloach. Thank you for being here. You're normally always here. Is there anybody else that I missed? Don't see so. The Honorable David Dwyer from Barden is also in the audience. Thank you. Just a little levity. Next on our agenda is our approval of minutes. Commissioners.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of the minutes of the Board of County Commissioner regular meeting, April 9th, 2024.
Second.
Proper motion, proper second. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of the Board of County Commissioner budget hearing, April 18th, 2024.
Second.
With proper motion, proper second. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. We are going to recess our Board of County Commission meeting, call to order our Port Authority meeting, and the first item of business is the approval of the minutes.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of the Port Authority regular meeting minutes, April 9th, 2024.
Second.
Proper motion, proper second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Next on our agenda, Port Authority. This is Port Authority only. Is there any public comment on Port Authority items only? Port Authority items, and seeing none, we'll close that. Any general discussion from the board on Port Authority? And seeing no hands or lights lit up, we will move past that, and we will we'll end our Port Authority meeting and reconvene our Board of County Commission meeting, and our first presentation of Ms. Lori Parker, Human Resources, Employee of the Month. We did notice a lot of equipment is not in.
It's raining. It's raining. We don't want anyone struck by lightning.
That's right.
Good morning. We're here to recognize Employee of the Month. We received nominations, and the Employee of the Month for April, the selection was James Wise. James Wise works for Public Works, and he is an Equipment Operator 3, and he was hired in 2021. And here's JT to give more information. If James can come up to the front, please.
Mr. Wise, you and your family and friends, come on up. Bring your staff with you.
Friends.
Come on, guys.
Does he have any friends in the building? Any friends for Mr. Wise?
He got one sitting right here.
Here we go. We'll wait till everybody comes up and I'll say something.
There we go.
Trying to stay low key, sir.
Y'all need to gather in like you like each other. Now get in there.
So we're very proud of James and everything he does for Putnam County. He leads by example and his work ethic and the job that he gets accomplished. Running the tractors on the side of the road, mowing, doing anything that we need him to do. It is not uncommon to find him out picking up the trash before he goes through the ditch because he takes very great pride in what it looks like when he's finished working. Takes great care of his equipment, helps anybody out that we need him to help with, including helping our fleet department this year, getting everything ready for the mowing season. With servicing our tractors, servicing the bush hogs, everything that we need, and then helping us come up with ideas to make things better. So we're very proud of James, very glad to have him on our staff. Thank you, James.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
You may.
A lot of times you're looking for that employee that does the right thing when nobody's looking. I just happened to be driving down County Road 309 the other day, and Mr. Wise had to be a half mile from his tractor, and he had a garbage bag in his hand, and he was down just picking up trash off the side of the road. Nobody else was around, it was just him. And I mean, that is just amazing that we have employees that will step up above and beyond and do things that most of us wouldn't even do, right? It's just as easy just to mow over the garbage. The inmate crew had been through. There was just still some ancillary stuff laying around between the time that he was able to do it. And he was just out of his tractor. I mean, and it was late in the day. It was probably close to quitting time. He probably had to drive all the way back to where his truck was up towards the forestry division there in Willaca. But it was just, he was doing the right thing. And I think it's very good when we can actually see people who are doing the right thing when nobody's looking. So congratulations, Mr. Wise, on a job very, very well done.
Wait a minute. Commissioner Turner has a comment to make.
I've known Jimbo for many, many, many years, and the amount of integrity that this man has is hard to explain. So congratulations, and I know it was well earned, well earned. Good to see you again, brother.
Thank you. Y'all come on up. And again, thank you very much. We're going to stay up here.
I'm happy.
Wait a minute, we got one coming.
Can we scoot in a little bit more?
Okay. Way back in the back. Never stand up on that wall. Holy moly. Holy moly.
3, 2, 1.
Congratulations.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we're going to give them just a second to get out. I know they're eager to get back to work.
I wasn't gonna say eager to get back to District 1, but
You want them to get back down there across the bridge, huh? All right, our next proclamation will be Commissioner Wilkinson, and she's going to invite y'all to be with her.
Can you see them when I speak or the audience? No. Them.
Mr. Chair, good morning. It's my honor and privilege this morning to read to you Putnam County Proclamation Number 2024-042, a proclamation to recognize May 15th, 2024 as Prader-Willi Syndrome Awareness Day. Whereas Prader-Willi Syndrome a genetic disorder affecting individuals of all races and gender, presents significant challenges, including life-threatening obesity and cognitive impairments. Whereas the syndrome necessitates constant supervision in a controlled environment and presently lacks a known cure. Whereas timely diagnosis facilitates access to treatment and support services are crucial for affected individuals and their families. Whereas ongoing research endeavors offer promises for advancing our understanding of the disorder and developing more effective treatments. Whereas increased research may lead to a better understanding, more effective treatments, and an eventual cure for Prader-Willi syndrome. Whereas early diagnosis of Prader-Willi syndrome allows families to access treatment, intervention services, and support from health professionals, advocacy organizations, and other families who are dealing with Prader-Willi syndrome. Whereas advocacy organizations have designated May 15th, 2024 as Prader-Willi Syndrome Awareness Day, providing a platform to educate the public, improve communication and education, and promote research efforts. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Putnam County Board of County Commissioners proclaims the day of May 15th, 2024 as Prader-Willi Syndrome Awareness Day. Mr. Chair, I'm proud to bring this to you and move it forward.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a proper motion, proper second, many seconds. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it.
Yay!
Anybody want to talk?
Yeah, for just a quick second.
Good morning. I would like to thank all the commissioners for having us here today and for everyone else for being here. My name is Tricia Blunt. This is my husband, David Blunt, and the light of our lives, Madison Nicole Blunt. Maddie was diagnosed with Prader-Willi syndrome at the age of 12. Prader-Willi syndrome is a rare genetic disorder resulting from an abnormality in the 15th chromosome. This syndrome is characterized by, but not limited to, chronic hunger, growth hormone deficiency, behavior challenges like emotional outbursts. PWS affects 350,000 people worldwide, labeling it a rare disease. If you have ever met Maddie, you know that she is very outgoing, loves to talk, and is everyone's friend. Maddie has overcome so many obstacles and is very happy and productive. Maddie receptions 2 days a week in my salon, spends a lot of hours at the gym, and makes soap to sell at local farmers markets. She is also at a healthy weight with the help of her dad, who built a pantry in our home with an automatic locking system. This syndrome definitely has its challenges, with food seeking being the biggest battle. People with PWS are on a low carbohydrate, low sugar, low calorie meal plan permanently. This combined with constant insatiable hunger due to the malfunctioning hypothalamus in the brain, and I'm sure we can all see where some of the emotional outbursts arise. Our goal today would be to raise awareness for Prader-Willi syndrome to help other parents who may be struggling to find a diagnosis for their child. I encourage everyone to go to pwsusa.org to learn more about Prader-Willi syndrome. Thank you and God bless. Yeah, you round the front.
Y'all gather. Come on.
We're all going again.
Kind of close to your seats up here. You might want to be joined up here one day.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
David, you got a large family. Huh?
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Good deal. Give them time to get out. They got to go make the Putnam County look pretty by cutting hair today. And cooler today, too, by the way. All right, our next proclamation will be done by Commissioner Bill Pickens.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman Harvey. Is Miss Kathy Fisk with the Coast Guard Auxiliary? Good to have you again.
Thank you.
Putnam County Proclamation number 2024-043, National Safe Boating Week. Whereas for over 100 million Americans, boating continues to be a popular recreational activity. From coast to coast, we're taking to the water, enjoying water activities. During National Safe Boating Week, the U.S. Coast Guard and its federal, state, and local safe boating partners encourage all boaters to explore and enjoy America's beautiful waters responsibly. And whereas the Coast Guard estimate that human error accounts for most boating accidents, and the life jackets could prevent nearly 86% of boating fatalities, basic boating safety procedures, carrying life-saving emergency distress and communications equipment, wearing life jackets, attending safe boating courses, participating in free boating safety checks, and staying sober while navigating, we can help ensure boaters stay safe throughout the season. And whereas the National Safe Boating Week is observed to bring attention to important life-saving tips for recreational boaters so they can have a safer, more fun experience out on the water throughout the year. Whereas over 650 people die each year in boating-related accidents in the U.S., 75% of these are fatalities caused by drowning. And whereas the vast majority of these accidents are caused by human error, poor judgment, and not by the boat, equipment, or environmental factors. Whereas significant numbers of boaters who lose their lives by drowning each year would be alive today if they had worn their life jackets. Whereas Larry Harvey, I do hereby support the goals of the Safe Boating Campaign and proclaim that May 20 to 26, 2024 as National Safe Boating Week and the start of the year-round effort to promote safe boating. Done, ordered, adopted this 14th day of May, 2024. Mr. Chairman, I recommend that we approve this proclamation.
You have proper motion, proper second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Yeah. I think she's good. Kathy, you want to say a few words?
Of course. Hi. A lot of you know me. Some of you don't. We've been doing this in 2006 when I started. A lot of things that we're still trying to get out is that the awareness for life jackets, the awareness for safety. A big part that helps us is when we have the Bass Elite Pro Series come. I don't know if y'all have noticed, but on their
Kathy,
boats,
they can't hear you if you don't speak into the mic.
Oh, well, okay. I don't.
So just talk to us and they'll
Okay.
see you.
A lot of things that people don't realize is if you look on their boats, they have a sticker, and it says Coast Guard approved. Bass Elite Series has worked with the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary for years, and what they do is they have an open house. Normally we're number 1 when they start, but this year we were number 4. So what they do is we have a safe boating so all the Bass Pros can get their boats inspected, make sure they have everything that they need on it so that they are safe boaters out there. They're setting the example for the adults and especially for today's kids. You know, these kids are looking at these pros and they're seeing these stickers. This is something that everybody can do. The stickers are free. The boat exam is free. There's no cost to anybody. If you don't pass the first time, we will come back out to you. Now, this Friday, wear your life jacket to work day, which means we encourage everybody to set a good example that has a boat to wear your life jacket to work. You can take a picture and the paper will put it in there. So the biggest thing that we're just trying to get to everybody is if you have a boat, set your example, make sure you're safe. And for life jacket safety, before you go on anybody's boat, make sure your life jacket fits you. Make sure they have the right one for you, not just 8 in a boat and 3 are kids. Make sure, because your safety comes first, and nobody can take care of that but you. And I appreciate y'all having me every single
Thank
year.
you.
It's been a long time.
Thank you. All right. Come on. Thank you. I am going to turn the gavel over to our vice chairman, and I'm going to go to the podium. And the nurses, if you'll come up and meet me at the podium. Madam Chairman, fellow commissioners, Putnam County Proclamation number 2024-044, Nurses Week, May 6th through 12th, 2024. Whereas registered nurses in Florida constitute our state's largest healthcare profession, and whereas the depth and breadth of the registered nursing profession meets the different and emerging healthcare needs of Florida's population, a wide range of settings, and whereas the Florida Nurses Association is working to chart a new course for a healthy nation that relies on increasing access to primary and preventative health care and better utilization of our state's registered nursing resources. And whereas professional nursing is an indispensable component of the safety and quality care of hospitalized and non-hospitalized patients. And whereas the demand for registered nursing services will be greater than ever because of the aging of the population. And whereas more qualified registered nurses are needed in the future to meet the increasingly complex needs of healthcare consumers in this community. And whereas the cost-effective, safe, and high-quality healthcare services provided by registered nurses will then be an increasingly important component of the Florida healthcare delivery system in the future. And whereas, along with the American Nurses Association, the Florida Nurses Association has declared May 6th through the 12th as Nurses Week with the theme, Nurses Make the Difference, with appreciation for nurses, unparalleled impact during the pandemic, and their contributions to healthcare, and an open invitation to thank a nurse for enriching lives in the world we live. And before I go any further, I have a personal story that my mother, she was a single mother, raising 2 kids, and went on to become a registered nurse and passed away early in life. My sister followed in her footsteps, who became a nurse and is teaching nursing at Daytona Beach State College and also works at Halifax Hospital. So, Ms. Chairman, Madam Chairperson, I move that we move this proclamation forward.
We have a proper motion. Do we have a second? We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Go up and get the picture taken. Do you want to say something? Say.
I would. I am Amber Johnson. I'm the Regional Director of the Northeast Region for FNA, Florida Nurses Association. And on behalf of this region, which is Duval and the surrounding 5 counties in this great county that I'm in now, you guys have opted into something that means the world to us. You actually have said, we acknowledge and recognize what you do, and we just say thank you. And for that, to your mom and your sister, we are honored to be here. And also would like to say we don't take it for granted. The things that happen in our surrounding counties, we want to know what they are. We want to know how to promote nursing in this area to bring it to excellence. And I just want to say to my colleague, Dr. Valerie Morrison, we know what hours nurses work. They were not able to join us in the force that we would think of. But if you see one on the way home or tomorrow on the weekend, just give them a hello and say thank you to them if that is okay by you. Thank you very much.
Three, two, one. Don't move. Three, two, one.
Commissioner Wilkinson, are you giving the gavel up? Okay. Thank you for that. And thank you, Board, for allowing me the opportunity. Next on our agenda is Mr. Gerald Donnelly with the Veterans of Foreign Wars, Post 3349.
All right, they made it work.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Post 3349, Palaca, VFW, Veterans of Foreign War. We're here today to honor our Sheriff and Police Fireman of the Year. With great honor that we've done this for the last quite a few years. We hope to keep the tradition going. We have two outstanding people today to honor. We're going to go into the Fireman of the Year first, and then we'll do the Sheriff of the Year. Commissioners, if I may have your permission after we do all the ceremony, can I tell you something that's going to happen here in the city of Palaca on Memorial Day?
Please do.
If it's okay with you.
Yes, sir.
It'll only take a minute or two. All right? With further ado, Bill Thompson will do the introduction and present the plaques to the Fireman and Police Sheriff of the Year. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Hey, Bill.
As you can see, our commander had a ladder accident. It's an indication that old guys shouldn't get on ladders anymore. So,
Glad you're alive, though.
okay, we're going to start by presenting our firefighter award to Lieutenant Luke Kersey. He was nominated by his peers for the 2023 Firefighter of the Year. Nominees state and foresight into his job. In high stressful situations, he has overcome obstacles due to his preparedness and tactics. Overcome obstacles and applies tactics to receive a clear outcome. Lieutenant Kersey's sound leadership and commitment respected, and Putnam County Fire Rescue should be proud to have an employee such as Lieutenant Kersey.
Let me see if I can get to this point. The Firefighter of the Year 2023, Lieutenant Luke Kersey, in special recognition of your hard work and dedication to the citizens of Putnam County, the Veterans of Foreign War of Post 3349 would like to present you the 2024 Fireman of the Year for the county in due honor. Congratulations. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You want to invite your fireman buddies down? Would you like to invite them all down?
Take a picture.
Yep. Come on.
I gotta get in there.
If you can.
With my broken leg?
I think they can take care of you. If they can't, we are in trouble. Congratulations. Thank you. Okay. Mr. Pickens. Are we all?
Okay.
Make room for Julianne.
3, 2, 1. And another.
patted you out. I'm in a good
We'll put him in a good spot, that way you don't.
Is what it is. You're on there. It is what it is.
Good, thank you. We will now honor the Sheriffman of the Year.
Okay, this. All right, to Sheriff's Office Detective Critch Batchfield, please accept this letter of nomination dedicated, wait a minute, for exemplary dedication to working on all facets of criminal investigations. Detective Batchelder? There we go. Continuously exemplifies the qualities of a servant leader. Detective Batchelder never shudders away from a challenge and is constantly the first person to volunteer for any job or assignment. Detective Batchelder has led several high-profile cases involving a multitude of criminal cases across multiple agencies and balances the often overwhelming amounts of information with ease. Each case Detective Batchelder works is given his full attention as if it is the only case he is assigned and is worked to completion with no stone left unturned. Detective Batchelder takes no investigation or task for granted and expects no recognition in return for the job he does. Detective Batchelder consistently demonstrates a work ethic that is second to none. It is an honor to be able to recognize Detective Batchelder for his willingness to continuously challenge himself and those around him, for his dedication to our profession, and for the leadership and command of any situation with which he is presented.
Detective Chris Batchelder, Putnam County Sheriff of the Year for 23-24. In special recognition of your hard work and dedication to the citizens of Putnam County, the Veterans of Foreign War Post 3349 of the United States would like to present you with this plaque. I would also like to thank all the sheriff and firemen in Putnam County and the city for the hard work and dedication they give to the community every year. It's an honor to do these, and I hope we can keep it up for a long time.
You want to bring your family down? Come on. Congratulations. Bring your family. Good.
Morning. Morning, Sheriff. Fantastic. Got up this morning, brother.
Oh, yeah. Let me get you guys to fill in behind the commissioners. Go up.
Allison, tell them what to do.
This many, you gotta. From Shannon to Kroll. Anybody else go back? You're gonna squeeze in, aren't you? Scoot over. Come on, scoot over. Thing, turn sideways. Slide in. You're short. Right here. Same thing. Slide in, guys. Y'all know the rules.
Tired, I'll fix it.
Three, two, one.
Let me move Mr. Donnelly right here by Chris.
Don't run him into the thing. That would be bad. Sure. Oh, my leg.
All right, look at me first. 3, 2, 1.
Thank you.
Hold on. Move back.
You weren't excused. Allison, can they move now?
Nay, you good? You good? All right, Nay.
Alan.
Yes, sir, thank you. Okay.
Thank you, VFW. We appreciate your support in the local community.
County Commissioners, on May 27th, Memorial Day, we're going to have the Memorial Day Parade downtown on 11th Street to the riverfront. On the riverfront, afterwards, we're going to have a ceremony to honor the veterans that fall during our wars. We're also this year going to try to do, and I'm going to try to coordinate with the Sheriff's Department to do a 21-gun salute to honor our fallen veterans. I think it's due time. We have never done it before, and I think it would be a good idea. I've been asking people's opinion on that, and I'd like to know how the county commissioners feel about that.
I don't have a problem with it.
I think that would be up to the sheriff.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sheriff's already told me they would do it. I got to get with the with the fire department and let them know what we're doing. So I think we've done quite a bit of different things for Veterans Day, and I'm going to try to continue the ceremonies as I can to keep improving them. So I think this is one of the ways to do it for Memorial Day.
And that is in the city of
I'll
Palaca.
say it's the city of Palaca.
Right.
Yes, it will be downtown City
Yeah,
Palaca.
the mayor's sitting right over
Right
there,
there.
so, yeah.
She,
Okay.
she
I like
knows.
that, Mayor. That's good.
She might not know about what I just said but that's a surprise to you too, because I just got it
All right.
figured out this morning with the Sheriff's Department.
Thank you.
You're
Thank-
welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Have a great day. Thank you for coming. Appreciate all your hard work.
Him, if you would. Thank you.
Our next presentation will be done by People One. If you will come up to the podium. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Oop. Bear with me, I have a couple of visuals to throw up here. There is a copy. If you don't have it, we will make sure that you do get a copy of this. I'll start out by apologizing. I don't have any awards or commendations to give to anybody, but I do have some updates.
We'll see you next
So-
time then. Okay, thank you for
I'll
coming.
make sure to bring that. I'll be prepared next time, I promise. Some quick updates. So we went through the approval process at a former commissioners meeting. We've been working with administration to start rolling out education and communication to employees to great success. But where we're actually delivering care at the People One Health Center has been a little bit up in the air. Good news is that we have a lease executed as of last week for 6100 St. John's Avenue. Initially, the conversation was to try to locate in the county complex due to some of the complexity of construction, retrofitting the space. It was decided that we should pivot and find existing medical space that we can accelerate the timeline so that we can start taking care of your employees as quickly as possible and delivering care in the community. So that lease has been executed, and we are in the process currently working with the architect, going through the permitting process and getting those up to date. We expect the office to be able to start seeing patients in July, so in short order, we should ultimately be able to start actually delivering care to employees. Couple other updates to share as well. This is probably the most important one. Whenever you're sponsoring a health center for the employees, it really matters who is actually delivering the care to your employees. Unfortunately, Dr. Conran was not able to be here with us today, but some of the county administration, I know some of the leadership team has already met her and kind of, I think, approves very much of her and her her methodology or her character. So she will be starting with us in July as well. Her undergraduate degree was from George Washington University. She got her Doctor of Osteopathy in Iowa, and then actually did her residency here in Florida. Much of her practice over the years has been in Florida, primarily in family medicine, but also has experience with occupational medicine, so has kind of worked in a similar setting to this. So we're really excited to have her as the leader of the office. And then due to the nature of the hours that county employees work, the fact that we have 24-hour coverage, we wanted to make sure that we're starting out with having kind of sufficient coverage for all of the employees. So Dr. Conran will be working 4 extended days to begin with when we open the office, and Dr. Kevin Funk also is coming on board with us at the opening, who will also work 1 extended day. So we will have both a male and a female doctor that are on site leading the clinic. Dr. Funk will be, again, doing 1 day as well as cover for Dr. Conran anytime that she's not available, if she has PTO, vacation, whatever it might be. Additionally, we also are deep in the process. We've already identified and interviewed multiple advanced practice providers, nurse practitioners and physician's assistants, and have a few really solid candidates kind of in the wings at this point. So when we reach a threshold where we need to hire additionally, we have a talent pool that we can kind of immediately tap into. That goes also for, we're starting interviews for registered dietitians, health coaches, pharmacists, and social workers, which are all integral into the model of care that we deliver for all of the county employees. We are currently interviewing for those positions starting this week, actually. So we would expect all of those hires to be made within the next 45 days and all onboarded for July at this point. It's just some quick updates on numbers. Again, many of you probably saw me and some of our team as we were communicating and educating the employees on this new benefit that's available to them. Through that initial kind of rollout process, we've already pre-enrolled 330 members of the county's health plan, where we will ultimately be the care provider for them. What that means for the county is an impact of about $40,000 in the first year to the county's health plan, based upon the math that we did initially when we had started our process of evaluation with you, and an additional $65,000 worth of out-of-pocket savings, so dollars that are back in the pockets of employees of the county. So an initial immediate impact, and that will only grow as we continue to grow enrollment. If you remember, the county underwrote or partnered with us for 1,000 initial members so that we could open the office up. We've already started to make great progress towards that number, not only from the county's employees, but also through others in the community, where we have a number of private organizations, both large and small, as well as some of the other municipal entities in the county that have shown interest. We are very confident that we're going to hit that 1,000 number before we open the doors. Next steps, you'll continue to see a lot more of us as we get more boots on the ground here in the county, and continue to communicate with the county employees on the introducing them to the doctor, introducing them to care teams, all of those additional people as we continue to bring them on board. So those are the updates we have for now. If there's any questions, I'm glad to address them.
Commissioners, any questions?
I have a couple.
Commissioner Adamczak?
This one's to staff. I thought what does this look like when an employee enrolls? I thought all employees could just enroll or would be enrolled based on the fact that we were paying for 1,000 out the gate.
All employees who are on our group plan have the option to enroll. Some employees have chosen not to enroll at this time. Either they're wanting additional information or they're well established with their primary provider and they do not want a different primary care provider at this time.
I thought we said this wasn't in lieu of a primary care provider, it was augmentative services. Is that, and maybe I misunderstood it.
This is a primary care provider, so you would not want to continue with a primary care and be seeking primary care here for the danger of having two medical doctors whom are not communicating with each other, both treating a symptom or condition, i.e., you have hypertension, which is something our group struggles with greatly. You do not want your primary care providing you medication for hypertension and then seeking this primary care doctor for medication for hypertension without some coordination of care. So this is, the goal is, this is a primary care, advanced primary care, so it is not just base but advanced facility and option for service for employees.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Any further questions? Thank you very much for coming today. We appreciate it. Commissioner, we're going to take a 3-minute break.
To allow development of a private luxury community. This is the second hearing and the final hearing for this one. The applicant is David Pepper. The subject property is all 224 acres of Hog Island, totaling 22 parcel ID numbers. Based on the supplied conceptual plan of what could be developed, the community could comprise of a total of 22 single-family lots ranging from 5.9 to 14.6 acres. Lot sizes are subject to change when the plat is reviewed by the Development Review Committee. So our aerial view of Hog Island. Zoning, future land use, conceptual subdivision that was supplied by the applicant. The residential estate zoning district is utilized additionally for larger 1 acre or more, depending on residential density. Parcels located on navigable waterways and to implement residential policies of the agriculture and rural residential use categories. The RE zoning district is compatible with the future land use category assigned to Hog Island. The proposed rezone also provides an assured use that the lands on Hog Island can only be used for single-family residential development. Should the Hog Island rezone be approved, it will move forward through the Type 1 subdivision replat process. There will be 3 hearings to review subdivision development and plat approval. 1 preliminary hearing before the Planning Commission and 2 hearings before the Board of County Commissioners. Once the plat is approved, the applicant will then submit to the Development Review Committee to satisfy additional development requirements. The DRC will review plans to ensure the development is compliant with local, state, and federal development regulations. Agencies including but not limited to Florida Department of Health, Putnam County Public Works, Emergency Services, St. Johns River Water Management District will review the plans to ensure the development will not adversely affect surrounding properties. Staff finds that the proposed rezoning is consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the adopted comprehensive plan and meets the locational requirements of the residential estate zoning district provided in the Land Development Code and the comprehensive plan. Staff recommends approval of the request to amend the zoning map from Plan Unit Development and Agriculture to Residential Estate. The Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the rezoning application at the scheduled public hearing on March 13, 2024. Questions?
Any questions, commissioners?
I have one.
Yes, Commissioner Attorney, you have the floor.
Did, out of the 22 parcel IDs, are there any multiple lots within the parcel IDs? Or is each one of those, the 22 parcel IDs are right now 22 separate pieces of property as far as we're looking at it?
Yes, sir.
And then what are they asking for? How many lots were they wanting once they get their subdivision done? What is the proposed amount?
23.
22 lots.
So basically, they got 22 parcel IDs currently, and they're asking for 22 lots.
Essentially, yes. They're going to resize the lots because they're all very different sizes right now. I mean, they range from very small lots to huge lots.
My question was that there's 22 parcels right now, and they're asking for 22 lots.
Yes, sir.
So they're not asking for an increase in the current density they already own, correct?
Correct. But it needs to be rezoned. So this is kind of locked at the moment because of the way that it's all zoned. And
Yeah, but my question was on density. They're not asking for an increase in density because they've already got a density of 22, and they're asking for 22. They just want to reform the 22 lots.
that is correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I do. I have one. Some of the services that we were concerned about at the last meeting, or I was concerned about, I shouldn't put we in there, with the fire, with the garbage. I know that's going to be addressed, and it's already been somewhat addressed. Living on an island creates challenges, and we have some great people that live on islands, but sometimes as they get older, they want more services. And it's hard to provide that on an island. And it's hard to ask the citizens of Putnam County that don't live on an island to pony up and help that situation. So I don't know really what I'm asking other than to say, let's be aware of that as we go into this. I think probably island life would be kind of cool for a while, but it'd probably get old too when you have to evacuate or high water comes or whatever the case may be. But just be cognizant of that. Okay, thank you.
Sir, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, we're going to turn it over to our applicant. Mr. Kennedy, if you'd like to come up and speak. And then we will take nay and yay from the audience in a public hearing.
Good morning. Patrick
morning.
Kennedy. My offices are 673 3rd Avenue, Willaca, a new branch of the Douglas Law Firm. But in any event, we basically want to concur with the staff recommendation, obviously. And we believe, as they said, the rezoning we're asking for is consistent with a comprehensive plan. It is actually the least intrusive, least intense zoning we could ask for in all your zoning categories. So we are essentially down zoning this from what the original PUD. Nobody wants that PUD. We don't pretend that we would try to implement that PUD as it currently sits. We wouldn't argue that point. But because of that, we are essentially compelled to rezone this property at this point. So we have to do something, and what we're asking for is the least intrusive possible. We've had our preliminary meetings with the staff. We understand the island life and the challenges it presents for services. We don't expect Putnam County to subsidize anything that's going to go on there. They will pay their fair share to make this development work in accordance with your comp plan and your zoning. So that's not an issue for this project. And I appreciate the conversation on density, but we don't want to get too lost in that because that's not what we're here for. This is just to get the property rezoned for the use. We'll come back with the plat, and density will be addressed more specifically at that time. But I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Adamczak, you have the floor, sir. You're recognized to speak.
So I know you said pay your fair share or whatever, but that's based on an appraisal from the property appraiser and what the taxes would be. But it's not fair share when you end up having to put an apparatus or something on the island, which has happened in the past and things like that, because that item is a high cost item that isn't fair share because it's only 22 people paying for that apparatus. It's not like you get a separate tax for the apparatus that costs a lot of money. It can't be used anywhere but on the island if that were to incur. So is there a plan by the developer to actually have their own little fire service or some sort of common area that facilitates that,
Well,
not at the county's expense?
That hasn't been drilled down to with any specifics, but things like hydrants, water tanks on site, and the ability to bring apparatus onshore. All these things are being considered at this time. We would rather have the opportunity to work through it with on that particular issue, your emergency services folks, and come up with a solution that makes sense and is also economically feasible for the development to take place. But in the end, there are no specific plans in place at this time. We're just trying to get through the zoning, and then the development approvals where we address those more specifically will come next.
Part of the zoning thing is we got to take into account the safety of our public, and part of that is the public that would reside there.
Correct.
In making this decision, I don't know that I have enough information based on that response to say that that's going to be taken into account.
Well, again, there's ag zoning allows residential, all the zonings allow some form of development. And we're not, we have a concept plan, but, we want to be able to address all those issues at that time. Quite frankly, the idea that we'd have a special apparatus on the island, I don't know that makes sense for this particular island. I believe they have something on Drayton Island. But again, dry hydrants and water tanks that supply fire suppression to the appropriate areas are two things we've considered. But again, the PUD needs to be changed to something, and we're asking for the least intrusive possible. And it doesn't, it's not a development permit, so nothing's going to happen until we get through.
And on other islands, it didn't make sense until there was a fire, and then all of a sudden it made sense.
Well, I'm just saying just because of the way the island's laid out. But if that's the end result is there's a water wagon or a small fire truck on the island itself, that may be something that we consider. But again, it's kind of, we believe it's a little premature to dig down those details. We're really just trying to get the rezoning to know that we can move forward with those details.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Mr. Turner, you have,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was hoping we didn't go down this rabbit hole, but this is a rezoning hearing. Once they get done here, if they're successful, they still got to go to development review, preliminary plat, back to development review. It's got to come back before the commission to be approved by the commission for the subdivision and the different amenities that they have to provide through the DRC process. So it's just too early to ask all these questions. All of them these answers haven't been developed yet. And that's why we have the process. The process first stage is getting the zoning changed where they can present a preliminary plat for review and go through the whole process that's already in place. Why I don't have any problem with this so far, none whatsoever, is very simply, they're not asking for an increased density to what they already have. They can go in there and start doing whatever they want with their 22. I understand your concerns, Commissioner, I truly do, about that it costs more to service a house fire on Drayton Island than it does on the mainland because they have to go across or whatever, or I get all that, but it's supposed to be developed somewhat in the DRC process, Development Review Committee process. So today we're just here, supposedly, we're here just to address the zoning issue. Is it a proper zoning issue? To me it is, because they're not asking for an increased density. They're only asking for the same thing that they already have as far as how many units they can put on that property, or how many parcels there are on the property. So that's all I have at this time, sir.
thank you. Mr. Adams,
Yeah, and the reason I ask these things is because I want them to be aware of my stance on it before it goes through that process and comes back to me. It would be disingenuous of me to go to him the day that it comes back from DRC and go, yeah, I can't get behind it because you guys didn't talk about something that was a concern of mine. So that's why I'm bringing it up today. So thank you for addressing it.
And your staff scheduled a preliminary meeting with us. It wasn't necessarily required in this process, but because of those concerns was appropriate. And
thank you, Mr.
already
Adams. Mr.
started those
Pickens, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I just want to appreciate Paul's comments. I think we all have concerns of the safety, from whether it's a medical, providing medical attention, police, or fire. We all have those concerns. And Commissioner Turner, I appreciate you explaining the process that will come to DRC for all those things to be discussed. But this is a unique situation being on an island. It is a new development, so there might be some things that should be added that maybe weren't added at the time of the development of Drayton Island, which was, Judith York can probably tell me, but it's probably back in the 30s when they started developing that, and it is other challenges. So I just appreciate Commissioner Turner bringing that attention for the public, that this is not the end all here. This is to approve the rezoning, which is what the matter at hand today, and all those other things will go through a process and then come back to us. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Pickens. Any other comments? All right, we're going to go to our public hearing, and anyone who wants to speak in favor of this application, please come forward.
Well, Bill Pickens already mentioned my name. I'm Judith York. I live at 142 Drayton Island Road, Georgetown, Florida. I'm in favor of it. One thing is the PUD's already expired. They can't move forward. They can't pull a permit. He has a right to fix his own property that was damaged by a fire. And prior to this, when he first got Hog Island several years ago, you had two beautiful structures that were so dilapidated. You know, they were an eyesore. You had poachers going in. And this gentleman spent his time and money and with his crew and has restored them. And he's not only restored those structures, he's He's restored the historical schoolhouse that was the Putnam County Schoolhouse in Georgetown, and that still stands in the original footprint. Everything that Mr. Pepper touches, it seems his integrity moves forward. He's in compliance with the county, and that's what all he's asking is, I want to be in compliance. I want to fix my property. I have a right to, and that's what he's moving forward. And I'm in favor. We approve the zoning, and then we'll address his structures. Right now, the old PUD, if he did build them on that footprint, you've got 22 houses or structures clustered close together. And what he's trying to do is let's make it aesthetically pleasing by replatting it and preserving the forest as it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Judy. Anybody else would like to speak in favor? Please come up and state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is David Pepper. I live at 340 Oak Ridge Trail, St. Augustine, Florida. I have had a house down at Lake George for a long, long time, decades. My children grew up tubing and water skiing on the lake there. In fact, Mother's Day, that's what we did. We went out on the boat, went to the island, we went over there, saw the turkeys, we collected our tortoise shells. We have the tortoises that come up to lay their eggs. And it's been a place of beauty and a real hidden gem. The real hidden gem, this entire area, is the river. As you all know, we're the ones building the boat barn over here. I have spent so much time on this river and just thought it is such a magnificent thing. We should share it with everybody. And I've had Hog Island for a long time. And we did rebuild everything over there. And it was a slow go to get everything back to its serviceability. And we did get the 1899 schoolhouse. And all y'all knew Eddie Babbitt. I can remember him sitting at the schoolhouse and telling me the stories of him going to school at the schoolhouse we restored. And it's been quite a treat to listen. Unfortunately, he's passed away. His sister's still alive, and she went to school there, though. But we were very proud to be able to save that for the community and do that for the community. But the island needs to have some zoning. Right now, we have no zoning. I can't pull a building permit to retire or repair anything, a plumbing permit, anything, because we have no zoning. So we do have to come up with a plan to go forth. And I think this density of an average of 10 acres per unit is a very usable, good density. And people need to get out and enjoy the river and help the restaurants and help the boat people all up and down the river. I think it's a reasonable request to ask for 22 lots over there. But at this time, do y'all have any questions that you would like to ask me?
No, I think we're good. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Is there anybody else that wants to speak in favor of this? I think there's a Bruce McCutcheon. You want to speak in favor or opposition? You going to speak in opposition?
Neither opposition or favor, just a comment.
Okay, well, why don't you come up then and state your name and address for the record, please, sir.
Bruce McCutcheon, 123 Georgetown Landing Road, Georgetown, Florida. I think the concern with primarily the people that I've spoken with is, once again, that rabbit hole that we've mentioned is the services, is how do the materials get to the island, how does the trash get from the island. I understand that all of these are going to be addressed later. This is simply to rezone the island itself, which I have no problem with at all, but it's the periphery services that are my problem. Like I said, because the fear for me is that the property adjacent to me on two sides is where all the materials and the trash is going to be transported back and forth the island, which is currently a residential area, which will have to be, I imagine, rezoned at some point. And with the way that it's been going in Georgetown with the situation across the street from me, which was another commercial enterprise that had been closed for quite some time and kind of like, I don't know, in my opinion, slipped through the cracks as far as permissible uses, as far as density and all that, because when it was set up in the 80s, the rules were different than they are now. And, you know, and so my point is just, yes, it is the rabbit hole, it is the periphery that's concerning most of the people that have a concern about it. I have no problem with I just don't, I'm not for yay or nay. I do not like the adversarial relationship or that zoning and permitting creates between neighbors. I want no hard feelings at all with my neighbor David.
Yeah.
And I don't think I have it.
Good. Thank you, sir.
But thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming
And
today.
your consideration.
Thank you.
As far as vested interest, Mr. Grimes will tell you.
If you'll speak right in the microphone.
As far as vested interest, my wife's family has 150 years on that property. So, yeah, we've been there a while, too.
All right. You look good for your age. Thank you. Yes. All right. Anybody else not in favor? Or okay, now we're going to start with the people who are against. So Captain Gregory DeWitt, is that right? Yes, sir. DeWint. And we are keeping our limits to 3 minutes, our speakers to 3 minutes. So you'll hear a beep, and then we'll ask you to wrap that up, sir. Thank you. And thank you
Mr.
for
Commissioner.
serving our country.
Captain Gregory DeWint, Commanding Officer, Naval Air Station, Jacksonville. It's Box 2 in Jacksonville. Speaking for the Navy's position, Navy would recommend against rezoning, and primarily it's a matter of safety. The range compatibility zone, it's in the area where armed aircraft are in approach to drop or deliver ordnance onto Lake George. So primarily are concerned about safety for the residents of Putnam County that would be living on the island. Everything was about risk, and if this zoning is approved, then we'd ask that, acknowledge that there's a responsibility for shared risk. But we can't always predict what risk is going to be, but it is there. And also would ask that you share the responsibility for any noise complaints as aircraft are en route to that range. We definitely appreciate partnerships that we have. In my 33 years of service, it has been amazing to see the partnerships down here in Florida, not just up by Jacksonville and Duval and Clay, but also down here. So thank you all for that.
Thank you. I think we have some questions for you, sir. So Commissioner Zach, you are recognized to speak.
No, I didn't have a question for him specifically, just around the safety aspect. I did spend 2 years of my life at Naval Surface Warfare Center Dahlgren, where we regularly dropped the ordnance into the Potomac River, and they regularly retrieved it. And regularly were there broken windows in the homes in the neighborhoods and on the base. And that still occurs to this day. So I completely understand your concern, and I share some of the same concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Turner, you're recognized.
Yes. Does the Navy realize there's already 22 parcels on that, and changing the zoning is not going to change the fact there's still 22 parcels so they're not asking for an increase in the amount of parcels that they already have?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I acknowledge that.
So if the Navy's wanting to stand in the way of some gentleman being able to use his property, not at a higher density than what he already had, but in a different way, but not any more people, don't you think the Navy ought to pony up a check and buy the property from him instead of trying to block him from using it?
Well, sir, again, we're not trying to block anybody. Just wanted to increase awareness of the risk that's involved in this rezoning. As I understand, the rezoning will allow for development of homes.
The same amount. They've got 22 parcels now.
Sir?
And they're asking for 22 density. So they're not increasing anything from what they currently have, 22 parcels, unless I misunderstood something.
No, you didn't.
Somewhere.
Fair question, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Adamzak?
Staff, is the 22 parcel, are there today? Are they developable today under the current zoning or the current PUD that is expired?
Thank you for that question. For the record, Zachary Baker, Planning and Development Services. You got to forgive me, the map that I'm looking at on the screen is pretty small. There are a handful of parcels that are already comprised the ag zoning district, which would be buildable. I think the concern is that the property owners would like to make the lots in that subdivision more uniform. So to answer your question, some of them can be built today if they obtained a building permit and went through the proper channels.
Okay. But it's not a like for like 22 to 22 like it's being described.
It truly is a like for like. I mean, we've got 22 that are there.
So they
that range.
They could put 22 homes on there today?
No, they cannot put 22 homes.
So that's not like for like?
The number of parcels is the same.
Right. The use isn't, which is what we're talking about here.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming down. We appreciate your service. Is this Commander Mary Robinson? Is that right? Am I? Oh. I tried to go in the Navy, but they wouldn't take me because I had asthma, so I don't know all the titles, and I apologize. So,
that's all right.
If you will, state your name and address and speak directly into the microphone, please.
Commander Mary Robinson, Naval Air Station, Jacksonville. And you'll see a letter today from my boss, who's Commander Air Forces Atlantic, Admiral Verissimo, wrote a letter. I'm going to summarize. My name is Commander Mary Robinson. I am the commanding officer of Fleet Air Control and Surveillance Facility, Jacksonville. Long title to say, we manage the Navy's training ranges in the area at 60,000 square miles of air and land space we have over the water off the coast of Jacksonville, all the way up through North Carolina, South Carolina, all the way to Cape Canaveral. We have water space above airspace, water space, and subsurface space. And then we also have Pine Castle Range, which is why today, which is our air to land. It's a vital range for training because for the Navy, we have to do from the sea to the land. And this is the only place they can do it on the East Coast for explosive ordnance is here, because we need our pilots to be able to take off from a boat to land and drop either in Lake George or at Pine Castle Range. So I'm going to highlight some of the stuff from Admiral Verissimo's letter, and then I'll finish off. So the RACUs, we talked about that for the Navy. It's a planning document. I have it here if you wanted to look at it. It's a 27 planning document to just look at for safety. The Navy is very concerned with safety and noise complaints. In RACUs 2, which is the island is, aircraft are armed 45 to 60 seconds prior to releasing weapons into the Lake George impact area. It's the area that could be impacted by ordnance should a rare event of inadvertent release following activation of an arming switch. RCZs are not predictors of safety hazards, picked areas where mishaps are most likely to occur. The Navy recommends against residential development or any other land uses that have potential to affect congregations of people inside RACUs 2. Additional information is in the study. But Admiral Verissimo strongly recommends that Putnam County review the RACUs study and consider the risk to potential future residents of the proposed development and not permit homes to be built underneath a known flight path where aircraft are dropping ordnance. I think that's the big difference here. It's just the safety for us. The airspace above Lake George is a restricted area. From the surface up pretty high, and so aircraft will be flying there, so it's important that the residents who buy these houses know that aircraft, especially loud jet, fast-moving aircraft, are permitted by the FAA to fly down to the surface to release their ordnance because they have to do certain run-ins. So that's going to be something. That airspace is available from 08 to 2400, 365 days a week. We do plan it out, but if DoD units need to train, we call up the airspace from the FAA, and no civilian traffic is allowed in that airspace during that time for the safety of both the pilots and the civilian traffic. So even if it's another Navy unit wants to come in, if that restricted space is active, nobody but the participants can be in there. So that just, there's currently an unpermitted helicopter pad there that the DoD has not approved the permit. The FAA can't comment, but even nobody would be able to fly in or out of that to that island while we have the airspace active for training. That's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And next is, and I'm not going to get this right, but Mario Santos, is that right? Is that Lieutenant? Thank you. AC Andrew Pepper. Thank you. Donald Heaton. Thank you, sir. And Mark McManus.
Through the chair. Mark McManus, Community Planning Liaison Officer for Naval Air Station Jacksonville, Florida. Just want to point out, right now there are currently 2 homes on the island. One is burned down. So the concern the Navy has, as Captain DeWint said, is if we're putting people on this island who are going to be there, living there. Right now, no one lives there. People are going to be living there or spending long weekends there. Aircraft are going to be flying over their homes. As a person that answers the noise complaints, I tell you, we will receive noise complaints from these homeowners that are going to buy these homes. All we ask is that you just consider the risk of putting homes underneath the airspace as aircraft are flying over it, proceeding to drop ordnance weighing up to 2,000 pounds about 60 seconds after they fly over this island. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Chairman.
Yes, sir. Mr. Turner, you have the floor.
Sir,
Mr. McManus.
the Navy realizes that they can already put homes there, correct? It's just that they haven't yet.
Sir, understood. What we're asking is that you understand the risk. In 2015, when we updated the environmental assessment for Pine Castle Range, Putnam County Planning Department was in the dialogue. In 2017, when the environmental assessment was released, the RACUS document, it was provided to Putnam County. That information has never been incorporated into the Putnam County zoning codes. Understanding it's a recommendation from the Navy. We can't tell Putnam County what to do. We're just making sure you understand what is going to happen in this area. That's all, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, is there anybody else in the audience wishing to speak? Seeing no one step up, we're going to close our public hearing. And commissioners, what's your pleasure on the rezone?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Mr. Turner.
I move that we take the recommendation of the unanimous recommendation from the Planning Commission and we approve this request.
Second.
We have proper motion, we have proper second. Any further discussion on the motion? Mr. Adamczak, you have the floor.
Yeah, so I'm just going to make note, and I'm going to read this into the record, because part of our ordinance when we do this, it's not only about zoning, it's also about the safety and orderly development, all the other things. So whereas the Board of County Commissioners determined that the proposed amendment of the zoning map is consistent and compatible with the future land use element of the Putnam County Comprehensive Plan, which I agree with, and is in the best interest of the public health, do not agree with that, safety or welfare, which I do not agree with, of the general public and the orderly development of the district and its neighboring property. So I think there is some responsibility on the applicant to establish some sort of information around public health, safety, and welfare of the general public and orderly development during the zoning change process, not just in the DRC. It's right here in the ordinance. Now, if we want to strike that whole line out of it, which then it doesn't make it a valid ordinance, I don't believe, I'd be all for it. But we don't, and we can't. So,
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Any other comments from the board? All right, so Mr. Turner, will you read the title of the ordinance as part of your motion?
Let me find it, sir.
Here,
What page?
page 82.
I'll read it off yours, if you don't mind.
I don't.
Yes, ordinance number 2024-009, amending ordinance number 5-18, an ordinance of the County of Putnam, State of Florida, amending the official zoning map for Putnam County incorporated into Article 2 of the Putnam County Land Development Code, ordinance number 2005-18, rezoning 224 plus or minus acres from planned unit development PUD and agricultural to residential estates, providing for severability and an effective date, case number REZ 23-000008, Pepper-Hog Island.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Pickens, do you amend your second?
I amend my second.
Thank you. We have a proper motion and a proper second. Any further discussion? Hearing. Yes, sir, Mr. Adamczak?
and my comments earlier really aren't in lieu of what the Navy gentleman and lady said. I think in there, I think part of the DRC should take into accommodation when they do this planning is there should be something in the development plan where they let the people purchasing these properties know that they're in that area. So at least they have awareness And that's just my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adamczak. All in favor?
I got one more comment. Commissioner Adamczak, I agree with that because I've lived in this area twice, from 83 to 89, out on the point near where Mr. Peppers has his house out there. I live about 500 yards from there now, and I understood the exact what you're talking about. They fly over. They do make noise. I've never had a problem, but I knew that when I moved there to expect that. So that definitely needs to be brought to the attention of the people who are going to purchase these lots, because they need to understand. They don't need to find it out later. So, but I appreciate your comments. You can call for the question.
Thank you, Mr. Pickens. Call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign.
Aye.
The ayes have it, 4-1. Next item on our agenda is our consent agenda. Mr. Adamczak, any items you wish to pull?
I have none.
Mr. Turner.
Item G.
Item E?
G.
G, I'm sorry. Mr. Pickens?
I have none.
It's going to make me.
Ms. Wilkinson?
Yes, item C.
Item C. Okay, the chair will entertain, and I have none. The chair will entertain a motion on the remaining items.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of consent agenda items A, B, D, E, F, H, and I.
Proper motion, proper second. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Mr. Turner, your item G, you were first.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to vote on this outside the consent agenda, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right, so do we have a motion to approve item G?
I make the motion to approve item G.
Second.
We have a proper motion, proper second. Roll call vote. Ms. Ashley, let's do that.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Passes 3-2. And Commissioner Wilkinson, you have item C. No, ma'am, we'll be to you in a minute. I'm sorry you're not able to hear us. Ma'am, this is not the time to be up here.
I have not been able to understand a single word.
Okay, I'm sorry about that, but we're not to any other.
I do have a question.
Ma'am,
I know you.
would you please sit down for just a moment and we will get to you in just a moment. Miss Julianne's going to direct you. Okay. Ms. Wilkinson, you have the floor.
Thank you. The reason I pulled item C is this was the opioid abatement settlement we got, and of course the information's in your package, but I'd also like to, for this board to consider adding 3 paramedicine positions to the EMS. And the purpose of that is to help, it's called community paramedicine. And let me start by saying that we will be funded for the next 5 years from opioid abatement funding to the tune of $312,000. So this would not be a cost to the county. The $312,000 would provide the 3 positions along with benefits. And the purpose of having a community paramedicine program is to help lower the amount of 911 calls and to help assist patients, because a lot of times what we see is EMS is simply there for transportation and to get people to the doctors, to the ER and that kind of stuff. But what a paramedicine program does is it allows paramedics and people that are under that purview to go and follow up with some of the frequent flyers that we have in the system, some of the falls, some of the people who are dealing with opioids, and there's also an education component to it. We have sat down with our counterparts in Clay and Flagler County. They both have paramedicine programs, and if you look it up online, there's pretty much throughout the state. The Department of Health has a complete program that would explain and help train, and then also our other counterparts have also offered to help train, and it could help with a lot of the elderly, because what a lot of these paramedics and EMS are seeing is repeat people from falling, and sometimes it's simply a matter of are they taking their medicine correctly? These kind of positions would help bring community resources to the people who need them the most. And by doing that, then you could reduce some of the repeat calls we have. And J.R. Grimes can probably speak a lot better to it than I am, but basically that's the idea. So we could fund it for 5 years, and we'd either be successful or not. This board's already approved for the equipment, and so if we're going to pay for the equipment through the opioid abatement, then we should have staff who are going to use that equipment and be out in the community to help our citizens.
Thank you. I think the numbers got turned around.
They did?
No, Mr. Turner, I think, was first, and then, but I think mine,
To make any difference.
Mr.
really.
Adamsack, it shows you, so if you'd like to go first.
I guess, so this is in addition to what we're voting on here.
Yes, sir. That's what I'm proposing.
And
And
what's,
we may have to bring it back another time, but I just wanted to have the discussion.
I love the idea. I think we should probably bring it back as a separate item and with someone outlining how much money is left and how much it would cost and all that. So I love the idea. I just don't know if I can add it to this particular action item today.
Okay.
Without having the exact date of what it's going to cost and where
Okay.
the money's going to come from.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Adamsack. Mr. Turner?
That's pretty close to what I was
Okay.
going to say. I don't have any issue with the program. I'd just like to know where the money is going to come from. You said that the 327,
312, I think is what it is,
312
yeah.
or whatever is not going to cost the county any money because it would be funded through one, I'm assuming, subsequent opioid payments.
Yes,
is
sir,
where it's
that's
coming
correct,
from.
for the next 5 years.
Best I can tell, we're not sure how much or when that other money's coming. It hasn't been allotted to us yet. It hasn't been promised to us. It just says we got more coming. And so another thing I would wonder is what happens at the end of the 3 or 5 years or whatever. Is this going to be something that becomes recurring on the commission that's there then? So it's going to be another $100,000 or $200,000 a year because that money would come from. And even though this is not going to cost any additional money, the $300 and something thousand it would cost is going to be spent somewhere else. So it's going to be money that's not going to be spent somewhere else. So I'm not saying it wouldn't be spent better where you're proposing. I'm just saying I need a lot more information before I can get on board with this. Totally not against it. Totally not against it. I just think I need some additional information. So back on what we're talking about today, item C. Is what you're proposing going to affect item C at all?
No, sir. No, sir, it's a separate.
So
it's
basically,
separate.
this was another conversation you wanted to have that's basically about the same money as item C.
It comes from the same source.
Right.
But it does not affect item C.
Okay, well, like I said, I'm with Commissioner Adamsack on this one. Don't everybody fall out of their chair. Well, we very seldom are on the same team. I think you've noticed even that this
I
morning.
think you're on the same
So-
team, just different avenues, that's all.
So anyhow, I think I would like to have this conversation, I really do.
Okay.
So if we could get further information, maybe try to see how we would fund it out of these opioid dollars in the future and see what level of certainty we feel like that money's actually going to come to us, perhaps.
And Commissioner, we have a level of certainty. They've got a structured plan going forward, I think, for the next 18 years based on the different settlements that have come in, so.
Well, like I said, I'm with Commissioner Adamsack. I think it's definitely a discussion to have. It's just not along with this particular item.
Okay.
Mr. Adamsack, you have the floor.
I just did want to say, I liked in your comments, Commissioner Wilkinson, that you brought up the idea that, after 5 years, we can assess, the commission at the time could assess whether it's had a net positive effect or negative, and obviously the commission could assess it throughout as well. So that part I loved, and I do look forward to having that conversation in the future.
Okay.
Mr. Pickens?
Yeah,
And I have a comment.
I think it's a good idea, and we should bring it back as new business at some point.
Yeah.
Just one question that hopefully will be answered today, if not during that meeting. You said $300 and something thousand that would come, is that total to the county?
No.
It's annually.
There's
Ms. Young, your light was on?
there's a schedule of payments. Year 2 is about 312, year 3 is about year 12, and then it begins to stagger off until it declines.
Okay, the amount, what we're about to approve today, we had a certain amount of money, we split it in three different areas. Is this what we would get, or the BOCC would get to do what we want to with
Next year's
it?
plan hasn't been determined by the BOCC, so it may be that the BOCC has a program or engagement for all of the funds.
All the fun, okay, that's it.
This year, when the program works released, the LSF, the grant administrator, advised that the year one, until we knew more details, was spent on capital in areas that could help agencies with the opioid crisis, and that's what we developed a plan to do.
Okay, I'm good, thank you.
And I want to make a comment too. We have talked about this for a long time, and for a few years, JR and I have, and others. So I think this is going to, at the end of the day, Commissioner Wilkinson, I think it's a great proposal, and I think it's going to actually save us money for the repeat offenders or the repeat customers. I shouldn't say offenders. That's a bad word, but the repeat customers that don't have access to health care and they use 911 to get that. And that will cut down. I've seen it be successful in Volusia County, and I believe it'll be successful here. So I'm looking forward to the more information coming, but right now we do have a item that we need to vote on.
Yes, sir. And I would just encourage you, before this comes up again, to do a little research on the paramedicine program if you haven't already. And with that, I would move approval of item C, opioid abatement settlement funds.
Second.
Proper motion, proper second. Further discussion on the motion for item C. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Next is our codes enforcement. And Thomas, are you here? And before we two started, is there anybody in the room for a codes enforcement case? Okay, we got two. Thomas, you're up. If you will deliver the comments.
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
First code case is 2016-449. Address is 408 East Palmetto Street. The property owner's name is Elijah Lowry and Gwendolyn Robinson Lowry. Violation was care of premises in an unsafe mobile home. Original fine amount was $37,037. Total cost of enforcement action was $1,698. The property owner has recently purchased the property. It's now compliant. In the fine reduction, if the board approves, we recommend the reduced fine to be paid within 90 days.
Thank you. Is the applicant here? Please come up, and if you'd like to, would you like to say anything? Okay, please come up and come right up here. Say your name and your address for the record.
Elijah Lowry, 2509 Westover Drive.
Good deal.
So I'd like to thank Mr. Thomas and all them. What happened, it was a company out of Brooklyn, New York, Slope, that got the fine, and it trickled down to me on a tax deed. And I just wanted to reduce it more or close it out. It wasn't my fault. A lot of people didn't even know it was a trailer in there until I cleaned. I wish I'd have took before pictures, but I got pictures after it.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right, anybody else like to speak? Favor or against this? Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the enforcement cost action of $1,698 if paid within 90 days.
We have proper motion, proper second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Mr. Moore, your next one.
Case number is 2014-470. Address is 1013 Usina Avenue. Property owner's name is Donald Barber. Violation was a permit required for a mobile home. Original fine amount was $64,046.35. And the total cost of enforcement action was $1,680. The property owners recently purchased the property. It's now compliant, requesting a fine reduction. If the board approves, we recommend the reduced fine to be paid within 90 days.
So,
Thank you.
I have a
Yes,
question.
Mr. Turner has a question.
Tom said, I understand that this violation was originally for them not pulling a permit to put in a mobile home.
Yes, sir.
And so for not pulling their permit, they started a fine on them, and the fine got to $64,000 because they didn't pull a damn permit?
They installed a mobile home without a permit and was living in a mobile home that was not permitted.
And
Yes,
when
sir.
we contacted them, they just wouldn't come
Just
do a
wouldn't
permit?
do it, no, sir.
Did they not speak English, or?
Well, I mean, we can't make anybody
I
do
mean,
anything.
obviously, this has been going on way before you, so you
Yes, sir.
probably didn't know any particulars about it. It's just very surprising to me that we let a case that someone didn't pull a permit get to $64,000. That's another one of those on the ridiculous side. Okay, sorry, Thomas, I wasn't aimed at you.
Thank you, Mr. Turner.
I know this was way before you, so.
The
Mr.
mobile
Adamczak?
home's been removed though, right? I mean, it looks from the picture that it's not there, so.
Yes, sir, it
Was
was
there
removed.
something wrong with mobile home as well?
No, it was removed. It was
Oh,
taken.
but did it have something wrong with?
Hang on, Mr. Barber.
Is there
hang on.
something wrong with it in the process? I mean, why was it removed? It just needed a permit?
It disappeared, so we
Oh.
so we don't have-
Okay, Mr. Moore, thank you. Mr. Barber, you're the owner now, so you have some explanation.
Harvey, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you, sir.
Okay,
Say hi to your mom for me.
So I bought property on Brett Avenue, which is the road over from, and I bought that property about 8 years ago. When I purchased the property, this was a house that was behind me on the next road over. The gentleman who lived there, yes, he put the mobile home on there without proper permits. But this is even more ironic. He had power.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He lived there. He was taxed for this mobile home. He paid, in other words, there's tax benefits for the mobile home, even though the mobile home was receiving penalties for being there. He went to prison. The mobile home got run down, tore up, left all. When he got out of prison, he came home, found out there was nothing really for him to come back to because the mobile home was in shambles. He then left and went to Orlando. I since purchased the property from him. Now, the fines have been going on for God knows how long, okay? So when I purchased the property, I cleared it. I rented a track hoe. I have a dump trailer. I haul stuff to landfill. Well, the tax people, the mobile home burnt down several years ago. Some neighborhood kids burned it down in the middle of the night. Fire department never showed up. There was never any record of it. I mean, the house completely burnt, slapped to the ground. Nobody ever showed up. I didn't even know it was gone for probably weeks before I realized it, and I live next door to it. And so they came, they did a reassess value on it, and they took the mobile home off the tax assessed portion of it. Well, when I had to pay the back taxes on it, I didn't pay garbage fees because there's no mobile home on it, even though prior to that there was garbage fees, and I got the tax records on that from when the mobile home was there. So when the mobile home was there, you paid all the tax fees. You paid for how he had electricity, I don't know. Apparently you can get electricity on a house illegal and no permits. He did it. It was there. Well, septic, the whole 9 yards. Everything's there. Okay? So when I go to the landfill to clean up this mess that was left to me when I purchased the property, I have to pay landfill fees now. So not only did I have to rent a track hoe to clean it up, then I had to pay landfill fees at the landfill for the same piece of property. I've paid more than enough on this piece of property. And the $64,000 that's built up is built up for a mobile home that, quote, didn't belong there. But the mobile home ain't been there for 8 years, but they've been assessed fees for the last 8 years. You follow what I'm getting at?
You do.
And then how can you assess fees on something if you're also assessing taxes on it? You're saying, okay, it's an asset, but it's a liability. But we're going to charge you for both. So I've already had to pay the back taxes on it. I've already had the landfill fees on it. I've paid all this money on this property. I did clear it. Y'all see the current pictures of it. I cleared it, leveled it off, and I'd like to put a $250,000 building on the property, but I'm just trying to get through this process here.
Thank you. Mr. Turner, you have a question? No, I can't get her light off. Julian, will you hit your button and see if your light goes off? There you go. I could.
Okay, first thing is that can you prove when the mobile home disappeared? Can you prove it by an aerial? Can you prove it by something of when the mobile home actually left? Because if the mobile home wasn't there and there was no residents on the property, you can go and apply to get a refund from your solid waste adjustment. So you don't have to pay that. So that $300 a year or whatever,
I can't, I'm sorry, I can't prove when it disappeared, but I spoke with Mr. Moore, and he says that they go out regularly. That was part of these fees here, so they go out all the time. So he'll know when it disappeared because they go out all the time working the case. But he should know when it disappeared.
Just for your information, I believe you can, if it hasn't been there for 3 years, I believe you can apply.
I paid 7 years of back taxes.
You want to talk? You want me to talk? No, sir, you talk. Okay. I believe you can apply to have it refunded for the last 3 years if the trailer hasn't been there or any other residential structure for the last 3 years. So that's a significant amount of money, probably upwards of $900 or $1,000 would probably be worth your time and effort to go make an application for a solid waste adjustment. So that's just your information. Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I'm ready to make a...
Go right ahead, Mr. Turner.
I move that we take staff recommendation of enforcement costs of $1,680 if paid within 90 days.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Do get with Thomas on how to do that solid waste. We'll get you word on that, okay?
Laura, do they give that application to you? If you'll see that lady right there, then she'll take a solid waste adjustment application from you. And if you've got records, Thomas, that you can show it has, I think it's 3 years is as long as you can go back. But I'm
August of 2020.
Okay, good.
okay.
Thank you, Mr. Barber. We appreciate it. Get with Laura right there, and she'll give you her card. All right, that's the end of those. Commissioners, starting to my left, Mr. Pickens, any appointments?
I have none.
Commissioner Adamsack?
I have none.
Commissioner Turner?
I just have a quick discussion.
Okay, quick discussion, Mr. Turner?
The Solid Waste Adjustment Committee came before the board last year, and we expanded it to 5. And I asked Laura to go back, and she said that it was on the video that all we had to do, that I had to appoint 2 people. We've got a meeting by the 26th. I was going to try to appoint 2 people to make it 5 instead of the 3 that's on it now. Am I supposed to bring that and appoint them at the board? Okay, because that wasn't what we talked about before. It was just that we appointed, and so do I need to reappoint the other 2 that's on there with me? Because they were never appointed at a board. They were just appointed by the chairman of the Solid Waste Adjustment Committee. All 4 members and then the chairman of the committee. And that's what was set up last year when we did it. I had her go back and look at the video.
I don't know how the other 2 were appointed, and honestly, I don't even know what their terms are, just because we're talking about this. But generally, all appointments come before the board.
Yeah, I'm good with that. That's
Yeah,
the reason why we're having this discussion. I don't want to do it wrong again. So when is our next meeting? What's the date of it?
28, I think.
Okay.
28.
Well, we'll just have to get through the next one, because I think our next meeting's on the 26th, and I'm not prepared to come up with 2 new names at this time. So we'll just have to try to get through it with the 3 members we have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Ms. Wilkinson.
Caitlin Lee for Animal Services Advisory Committee has said that she would be willing to serve again if the board would allow her. She's an at-large appointment.
I don't have an issue.
So therefore, I make that the motion to reappoint Caitlin Lee to Animal Services Advisory Committee.
Yeah, it'd be a nomination to be voted
Got
on.
a nomination. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign? The ayes have it. And any more appointments?
That's all I have, sir. Thank
And
you.
I have none. So let's go to our new business. And the first item of business is Administration Duns Creek Boat Ramp, page 261 in your agenda.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman. As shown in the agenda, there have been CRG architects provided 2 conceptual renderings. Rendering 1 is a 1-boat ramp launch, and rendering 2 is a 2-lane boat ramp launch. They did also provide a proposal fee of $77,632.50. That is based on the 2-lane boat ramp launch, because obviously if we go with the more, then if you choose a lesser one, then we'll be less than that. But those 2 items are for the board's consideration and direction.
Commissioner Turner, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Part of that was that they also gave us a $78,000 thereabouts engineering fee if we approved the 2-boat ramp. I don't see how we could do a boat ramp there. That's ridiculous. There's 60 parking spots there.
I agree with that.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer. They're the two slip. Yeah.
What I would like to try to do is I would like to try to get the boat ramp approved today. I would also like to the commission to understand that if it's okay, we'd like to do this in 2 phases. One phase would be to go ahead and put in the parking and start the engineering, put in the parking and whatever, and have it set up to where we can put the boat ramp in once we get the permit. The permit for a boat ramp, I'm being told, is a 1.5 years out. So I'd like to go ahead and put in the parking and use it for a soft launch for a kayak or do whatever there up until that point, and then put the boat ramp in and possibly even the bathroom or what have you. But put in the handicap area and the rest of the parking area and whatever once we get it done. I'd also like to pledge $80,000 of my discretionary dollars to do the engineering on this project and get it moved forward.
Very generous. Commissioner Turner, I'm with you on that. As long as I can ask one thing, if we could put a sign up there that the boat ramp is being applied for, so people don't think we're just doing something, that we shouldn't be doing. But I think that's a great idea, and I agree with you. Now, what page is your concept that you really like? Is it page 268, 269, or
70.
270 is the one I like too.
The one with the 2 ramps. See, that's just
Yep.
one ramp. This next one here is 2 ramps. See the 2 ramps in the
I
corner?
saw 2 here too.
268 and 270 are the same thing, just somehow they turned upside down.
All right,
One's turned the riverside, one's turned their street side.
Well, I like
It
the
got
270.
duplicated.
I think it's,
You like 270 better than 268?
well, it doesn't matter to me one way or the other, but I think it's pretty, yeah. But I'm good. So we can put a sign up there that says we're applying for it and we'll get it. And right now we'll use the soft launch.
Well, it'll have to come back before the commission, before it moves forward once the engineering is
Right.
done on it. So, but we have, I believe Juliana helped me with this, I believe she told me the other day we have $389,000 set aside for this project so far, and that's not using any fishing fund monies. And we've been saving the fishing fund monies for 5 years for a capital project. Now, whether it gets used on Georgetown or whether it gets used here or part for both or whatever, it'll probably be somebody later on that makes that decision unless they get the engineering done pretty quickly. And then I'd like to try to go ahead and get this moving forward, hopefully. They were saying that they thought they may have it done within approximately 60 days, the engineering on this, which in government time and engineering time probably means 90 or 100 days or whatever. But still, it's just the way it is. So, but if we get this done ahead of time before November, I'd like to try to get this project moving with whatever discretionary funds that I have left. This is where I'm going to try to put them, is towards this project and get it moving.
Mr. Commando, do we need a motion to move this forward or just? Okay, Mr. Turner?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve this and approve the engineering.
Second.
And with your 80,000?
Yes.
Okay.
With my $80,000, up to $80,000 and to pay for the engineering services, and that's for the 2 boat ramp. The one on page 68.
Yeah.
268 or 270, they're the same, just upside down.
I just have a question. So, for clarity purposes, we designated our discretionary funds for capital projects, even though this 80,000 that he's proposing would be used for architectural work, it still applies as
Design fees are capitalized as part of that capital project because it's a one-time project, so yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
I thought so, I just wanted to clarify that.
We have proper motion, proper second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Turner. Item B, administration manifold repair at Putnam County RO plant. Guess that's going to be JR?
Yes, sir. Thank you. We have
I'm ready to just make
Yeah,
it.
if we-
We've got to do this when we don't have
Go
We
ahead.
don't have this is not one of them we have an option on. I move that we
If you
approve
do move
item
it,
B.
you have to move the resolution for it too, please.
Okay, is there a resolution? Let me find
There
it.
is.
Great speech, JR.
I've been nominated to do all of them.
Not even 250, 352.
Okay, a resolution 2024-049, East Putnam Regional Water Fund. No, that's the resolution, isn't it?
Well, we have a resolution.
That's all it says. Resolution 2024-049, East Putnam Regional Water Fund.
That'll suffice.
Second.
We have a proper motion, we have a proper second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk of the Court, you have.
I need more than just a resolution. I need you to award the project in the amount of $62,400.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I move that we award the project in the amount of $62,400, Resolution 2024-049, East Putnam Regional Water Fund. Good now?
Second.
Got proper motion, proper second, and plenty of levity. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk, you are next on the agenda with 2 MSBU's.
Yes, sir. Hang on, let me pull that up real quick.
Is that the 2 that got turned down?
Yes, sir. Just as an update, the deadline for responses came and went, and we have attached the responses for both of these MSBU petition mailouts that the commission approved at previous meetings. Both of the responses that we received for both projects were no votes.
Mr. Clerk, if you don't mind, I want to make a comment about that. We, the board, kind of modified the procedures on this, and I think we did a great job doing it. I think the residents got sticker shock when they realized how much that was going to cost per lot out there. Roads are not cheap right now, and they're not. Even back when we did ours in front of my home, it was $238 a year for 15 years. And we all paid it, and a lot of people paid it. I did want to say that, this was our first year of having discretionary funds, and I was going to ask the board if they came back favorably to let me partner with these MSBU's to lower the cost of them using my capital improvement fund, but they didn't come back favorably. So I just want to go on record that I support the MSBU's. I support people who want to make their residents better, their communities better by partnering with the county. And I think going forward, we got to find that avenue to help them not get so much sticker shock. Even though at the beginning, when all this was started, I know what I said, but I don't know what you heard. My pastor says that all the time. We talked about, $800 to $900 to $1 million a mile. But when those conversations happen, people don't realize that until it's actually on paper and what it's going to cost them.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
it's not unusual, even back before it was this high. Probably at least 80% of these fail once they go out there, when people find out that it's going to cost even a little more, because some people don't mind living on a dirt road.
Yeah. And you're right. And then some people go, well, they got theirs, I want to get mine, and I shouldn't have to pay for it. So there's all kinds of dynamics that go into it. But in reality, with the hundreds of miles of dirt roads that we still have in this county, and the amount of money that we are trying to put to dirt to pave, it's still going to be a long, long process before we ever see. And then we got drainage to deal with. So, Mr. Clerk, thank you. And so that's a report on both of your items?
Yes, sir. I think so. And one other thing I think I will mention is something that I think I noticed via this process and the changes that you mentioned and having my office, follow the ordinance with mailing out the petitions. It seemed like there were, that the residents kind of misunderstand what the board does with the Dirt to Pave program with Better Place funds each year, and then versus what they are asking for via this citizen-led petition process that they would pay for on their own. I think there's a lot of people see dirt to pave happening, and they think that it's this other process, this petition process, where they came in and they are petitioning the board to pave their roads, but they're not understanding that what they're asking for is for themselves to pay for them to pave their roads. And I think that there's just that kind of misunderstanding of what you guys are doing with Dirt to Pave in Better Place versus this citizen-led process where the citizens will pay for it on their own. So,
And you're right. And reality, though, comes back when you live on a dirt road, that if we're going to get this road paved, we're either in the queue or we're going to have to do it ourselves.
Correct.
And we decided in our neighborhood we would do it ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so I understand the dilemma, but we've got to move forward on doing the best and moving people out as fast as we can and solving the problems that we're trying to solve on the dirt roads. So thank you.
Yes, sir. That is, I think the ordinance says there's no further action with it being a no vote. So
good. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Chairman, could I recommend that we go to item I next, where
You
Mr.
may.
Kaiser doesn't have to
You
sit
may.
here. Everybody else is left.
I'm
on
sorry,
all
Mr. Kaiser. I'm
the items
just
here.
going right through the agenda. We're going to take now, since no action was required on items C and D, we're going to go to item I. That's our Putnam Land Conservatory request to construct a walking trail. Mr. Turner, do you have a comment? Or no?
No, I just didn't want
Mr.
Mr.
Kaiser, you
Kaiser to have to sit here another hour.
You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Timothy Kaiser. My address is 501 Atlantic Avenue, Interlochen, Florida. I'm a lawyer. I'm here representing the Putnam Land Conservancy. The Putnam Land Conservancy owns land at Half Moon Lake, which is in the Melrose area. It's approximately 48 acres that surround an 11-acre parcel owned by the county. The Half Moon Lake is an intermittent lake. Its water levels fluctuate. It's noteworthy in the area for bird use and activity. I request on behalf of the Putnam Land Conservancy authorization to construct a walking trail a public walking trail on county-owned property. The Putnam Land Conservancy will construct the trail. They'll pay for all maintenance for the trail in the future. So I did have some maps.
We have a map in our package.
You have it?
Yes,
Okay.
sir. I have a question for you, Mr. Kaiser.
Yes.
Where would people access this walking trail from? Through the Putnam County?
There are 2 points of access. One would be to the north. There's if you look at the map, there's an indentation that on the north side. That would be one point of access. The other point of access would be from a public road on the south side. And I don't recall the name of the road.
Is it a publicly maintained road?
Yes. Then there'll
Yes,
be parking
Mr. Turner.
into the property itself.
Rich,
Rich?
do you have any issues with us letting them put a walking trail on the property as far as liability may go? I mean, they own the property around, it's already county property, and if they're not gonna pour concrete, they're gonna go clear a trail to walk through and mark the trail, correct?
Right, it'll be a walking trail, a very narrow walking trail.
So if they start using this and the county in time in the future was to decide they wanted to use it for something else, we could just go to them at that time and tell them that we're going to use it for another purpose. But other than that, couldn't we just go ahead and let them do this? Do you see any roadblocks to this?
I mean, every piece of county property has liability with it, so is it any greater or less? I mean, I can't think of something.
I don't. Mr. Chairman, I move approval of this item.
Second.
Proper motion, proper second. Should we, for discussion only real quick, should we enter into an MOU with the Putnam County, the Putnam Land Conservatory? Would that be something that we could possibly do?
To do a walking trail, I wouldn't do.
Okay, I just asked the question. We have proper motion, proper second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Thank you, Mr.
Commissioner.
Kaiser.
Thank you, Mr. Kaiser.
Okay, going back up to item E, procurement bid 2408. Mr. Grimes, you got that?
I I'll take it.
Okay, Mr. Turner?
This is another one of them we just don't have an option on. It doesn't taste good. It's like a bad piece of candy. The longer we chew it and we can't spit it out. It's another one of these that we bid out and it came in more. To Mr. Grimes' credit, he's working hard on trying to do some value reductions with the contractor. But up until that point arrives, or if they're successful in getting that done, by buying their pipe somewhere else or something that may happen, then the county would actually receive those savings if they're successful. Up until that point, we just don't really have an option here. So,
Mr. Turner, if you're going to make a motion, you have to incorporate your resolution.
I'm looking for it right now, sir.
There you go, right here.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move that we hire the contractor and use Better Place Fund reserves capital outlays for 359-304, Resolution 2024-050, Better Place Plan Fund.
We have a proper motion. Did that work? Yep. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Does the motion work?
Does the motion work?
Thank you. All in favor signify by
I
saying
think my
aye.
light.
I'm sorry, you have a discussion?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. I didn't see your light on.
For consistency's sake, I will not be voting yes. I don't agree with the project because I don't agree with it coming out of Better Place Plan. And I think every penny of that should be utilized for dirt to pave. That is possible.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. We have any more comments? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose like sign.
Aye.
The ayes have it 4-1. Thank you. Next, Public Works repair or vacate Roddy Road culverts. Who's taking that, JR? Or?
If I could,
Gosh.
Mr. Noel.
Wow, you're getting a lot of credit today, Bill.
I want that one. It's another one of them big pieces of candy you can't spit out.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'll go ahead and, while you're coming up here, Mr. Knowles, I know this area very well. That has always been a problem in that area.
Yes, sir.
And if you ask what my 2 cents are, I am not an engineer, but I'm going to tell you, I think it's time to vacate that culvert and turn that property. There's other roads that are dead end in that area that don't cross over.
Yes, sir.
And I think it's time that we let nature take its course and run through there unimpeded.
I would like to hear, I'm very familiar with it as well, but for the public's sake, I would like to hear
So
from
go ahead,
Minnesota.
Mr. Knowles.
Okay,
I mean,
well, as you know, that crossing of Roddy Road has been experiencing potholing from subsidence of the soil underneath it. I went and inspected the culverts, but the one culvert trying to get my bearings, the eastern culvert is separated in the middle. It's offset about 6 inches, and water is flowing underneath it. That's where the subsidence is coming from. All of the soil underneath that culvert's washing out, and it's causing the road to start slowly collapsing. It's not a public safety issue yet, but it will be very soon, especially with more rain. So the only thing we could either replace it, we could slip line it, which buys us a little bit of time, or we could vacate it. Carroll Road is about 400 feet away from there, and when I was out inspecting it, there was more traffic crossing that creek on Carroll Road than was crossing on Roddy Road. So my recommendation would be if we could vacate it. It's a lot cheaper to vacate it. It's not really impacting traffic or residents in that area significantly, but it also would allow us to open up that channel again to reduce the potential for flooding upstream. So, but I leave it up to the board on that kind of decision.
Mr. Chairman.
yes, sir, Mr. Turner.
I'm in total agreement with you, but before we dig this culvert out, can we block it off with some concrete barriers and leave it the hell alone for about 6 months?
That's what I was going to
Because
recommend.
if you don't, we'll be back there putting a culvert in when a whole neighborhood shows up here ready to kill us.
Yep.
So
Oh, you're right. I was going to say the same thing.
if we could just
Temporarily
go in there because the culvert needs working on and put them things up. If we don't have any issues or no lot of complaints or a lot of problems from it, then good, we'll go on and do what we need to do. But for right now, don't dig that thing up.
No,
Because,
I would agree that to get the residents used to the idea of that crossing being eliminated, go ahead and put up some concrete barriers and close the road. People get used to it by the time you remove the pipe.
And I think they're glad that no through traffic will be going through that neighborhood personally.
Unless you live right on the other side of it, you got to drive all the way around to get back, which is not far.
It's really not much of a detour, but,
but
for the people
Scott,
that are
you know
using
you can't do anything in this job. You don't upset people.
Well, I agree. Somebody is going to be upset. But
Hey, Mr. Knowles, will you state your name and occupation?
Scott Knowles, County Engineer.
Thank you for the
Do you
record.
have any earthly idea of approximately how much it would cost to sleep the inside of that?
I believe I put a cost estimate in.
300,000.
About $300,000.
Yeah. If we did go that route, what do you estimate the time of longevity of that? How long the lifespan?
According to the manufacturer of the sleeves, you could get 100 years out of it. I would say that you're probably looking at about 15 to 20 years if it's done properly.
Okay.
Is it the current time, is it dangerous at the current time for people to drive across it?
It's not dangerous to drive across it right now, but if we get enough significant rainfall, it could be an issue. I would suggest not having large vehicles go across it. Passenger vehicles are fine, but something loaded down like a log truck or something like that is just going to exacerbate the issue.
I guess that's the reason I'm asking is, should we block it off completely at this time, or just a sign up that says no vehicle or passenger vehicle only, or just block it off and be
I
done?
think blocking it off.
I think blocking it off. I've had residents reach out to me and they're concerned for their safety going across it. So I think, I mean, they're not engineers obviously, but I think that, and they live right there. And
I'm good.
Do we have concrete
Did you
barriers
have-
we can put up?
Yeah, we've got some barriers we can put it up.
Okay.
Did you happen to in that conversation that that's a possibility that we may vacate that thing, open it up?
no, sir, I didn't get into that yet.
Okay.
But I did tell him it could be significant.
It definitely needs to be addressed soon.
Well, I think once we reroute it and people get kind of used to it, thicker shock won't be near as bad as, wherever we go, if we decide to fix it or we decide to
Whose
vacate it.
district is it? God bless you.
2.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Then consensus right now is we're going to block both sides of that
I
off.
think that needs to be done by motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Somebody needs to make a
So-
motion.
I make a motion that we block off Roddy Road culvert area. Don't know if that's something.
So we're going to block off both sides.
Correct.
Okay, good. Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it.
So we haven't actually vacated
We haven't,
yet. We're
exactly.
just going to block it off at this point.
Yes,
and We're
sir.
going to do something different later.
Correct.
Thank you.
Next item is our Public Works discussion options to cover funding shortfall for CEI services to St. John's Avenue, Palm Avenue to CSX.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I would really like to table this item for a short period of time. Mr. Suggs, were you able to reach out to them? I had asked you last week if you had time, could you reach out with the city and explain to them what the options could possibly be that the board would do, such as a reduced scope of work, and that we already bid the project for them. We're already doing their project management. We're already doing the procurement on it. We're doing the value engineering on it. We're doing the inspections and the field engineering on it. We ain't charging them a damn penny. So if we just charge them what we already should have charged them in this project, it would have been triple what we're asking them to pay for their CEI services. So before I understand that DOT, we reached out to DOT and they gave us the permission to reduce the scope of work, to bring it back down within, into budget. I really think we need to give the city another shot at this. If they're so dysfunctional down there that they don't understand that they're fixing to lose a block of city block over $65,000 of us doing a project for them, then that's a bad deal. That's a bad deal. So I think we need to give them the opportunity again to maybe ask Mr. Bell or somebody if he would like to take it back to the commission and let them make a decision, because I don't think it's up to the county to pay for this in any way, shape, or form. So I think that's our two options. The city either pays up the money or we reduce the scope of work, and I don't really want to do either one of those today.
I don't either.
Yes, sir. The question was that I made contact, and yes, I did. I spoke to Mr. Bell along with Mr. Grimes last week in my office via telephone, and we explained to him the situation just like you did today. Mr. Grimes did an outstanding job of laying out the project and the concerns and all the work that the county has already put forth on both of these projects. Those are the two projects. And so we let him know that was going to be on the agenda today for discussion, and I saw both the mayor as well as Mr. Bell in the audience today, knowing that this item was on the agenda. But we did have a conversation, let him know that we're bringing it forward for some direction from the board of how they wanted to move forward with this project. And one of the discussions was whether or not we're going to pay for it ourselves or cut it, the scope of the project short, as DOT has given us the option. So he's aware of all of that. His comment back to Mr. Grimes and myself was he'd like to take one more shot with his commission. And would he have time, following discussion and direction today at the board, to do that? And I believe the answer was yes. That even if the board told us today that we'd like to take the option of reducing the scope and cutting it a block short, he would still have time to go back to his board to have a conversation, knowing what the county stance was.
That was my next question. Should we go on and pass it today that if they decide not to do it, then we will move forward with the project with a reduced scope?
I just so everybody's aware, and I'm sure we can get through it, is the contractor's on a certain amount of time frame for them to complete the project. So they may come forward at some point and ask the county for a time extension on the project, because any of these delays we put in there, whether it's funding or whatever, is going to have an adverse effect on the contractor. So just as long as the board's willing to give a time extension for more time and DOT is willing to give up for some more time, I don't see where that would be an issue.
All right.
Currently, we're under a restriction in time because the city's doing all of their utilities, and the contractor they have with that, I believe, is Kemp Brothers, is taking 3 to 4 weeks, which is delayed phase 2 of the start of the project. So there could be a time delay, which could have another cost affected to it, which I believe would then be, again, the city's responsibility to pay, because this is their project that they have delayed with their utility work. The other thing that I would like to just say on public record, so that maybe I can help clear up a misunderstanding at their next meeting, was I think there was a confusion between a change order and a first cost. They kept looking at this as a change order when I zoomed in on the last city commission meeting, and I couldn't get them to understand that it was not a change order. It's a first cost, and they only looked at it as a change order, and that's why I believe it fell dead on no motion.
JT or Mr. Stout, I'm sorry. Even if it was a change order, it's their change order. It's
Correct.
Their project.
Correct.
It's
We're
their
just
road.
administrating.
Right.
We're just administrating it for them. So that's not the way it works.
Agreed.
I don't go help you paint your house and then I got to buy the paint. That's not the way that
Could work
works.
that
It'd be
out,
nice
but-
if you would, though.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen.
All right, Commissioner Wilkinson, you have the floor.
I just want to say that I went back and looked at Thursday's meeting, City of Palaca meeting as well. And during that meeting, they did note that the county engineer assisted them with some help in a park, and that it was a cost savings to the city of about $40,000 to $50,000.
Right.
So in my opinion, if they're worried about the $64,000, then they should look at the cost savings that this county has already given them and
Amen.
use that money.
Amen.
That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Could I recommend that we have somebody besides just JT down there where we can double team them? Where if they did, you know what I'm saying, where somebody else can get up there, and also it's not that he's not very good at it. I'm just saying that sometimes it takes two.
So we're going to table this to the next meeting and give the City of Palaca time. So it'll be back on the agenda on the 28th. Will that mess up the contractor at any?
No, because they're still under delay with Kent Brothers finishing the
So we're
utilities.
okay for the 28th?
Yeah.
But that'll give the city of Palaca time to even if they had to do an emergency meeting. Okay, so
Just-
and what I'm seeing is JR.
Sorry, I just got one more question. So with the consensus of our board, is it you guys' direction for us when we go down there to be able to say that it's your road and that the county's not willing to pay the
I think
$64,000
it's
additional dollars?
it's your house and your paint, and we shouldn't buy the paint for you, as Commissioner Turner said.
That's my consensus.
I'll tell you my consensus, if you want me to take it one step further. If we could walk away from the whole project, I'd do it. Because of the way they're treating us and the way they talked about the other road that we did on the other side, it's too bumpy, it's too this or too that. Go look at some of their streets and tell me they've done better on any street they've done in town than that one there was done. Because I rode down it several times just to see.
I think you know the consensus going forward.
We do, and Mr. Chairman, that's why we had to bring this back to the board for discussion, because staff absolutely wants to take the direction from our 5 elected officials before we have a conversation with 5 other elected officials. So thank you very much for that input, and we'll take that message to the city.
Good, thank you.
Well, I don't want to pay the 65 grand, all that being said. I'd rather reduce the scope.
I agree.
Agreed.
Agreed. All right, so the next item on our agenda is item H, Public Works purchase of a Pavijet. Mr. Stout, do you have that? Or are you running back to the podium?
I can take that one, Mr. Chairman.
Move approval.
We have a proper motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it for discussion.
You also need a resolution when you make that motion.
There a resolution to buy a piece of equipment?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We're getting resolution crazy, ain't we?
We're going resolution nuts, I think.
Three.
So do you have the resolution as,
Resolution 2024-051, Transportation Fund.
Approve the purchase and the budget resolution.
And to approve the purchase in the amount of
the milling head and also this. And as you can see in the board packet, it does say the price includes some training in order to activate a warranty, which is key. And I do believe it's on-site training, so I just want to go offer up that there are some specific spots in District 1 that probably...
District 2.
You're out of order.
District 2.
just fixing to say, if I thought I could have got it seconded, I would have said and never take it to District 1.
oh, Lord.
But anyway, I think this is going to really pay dividends for, if nothing else, just when we have to replace a culvert or a cross culvert for water or something like that. So anyway, I do second it, so...
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Next on our agenda is public comment on miscellaneous items. This portion of the agenda is designed to allow the citizens an opportunity to bring matters to the attention of the board. It is not reasonable to expect that the board will engage in debate or deliberation about matters on which the board has not received any prior information as part of this agenda. We're going to limit your comments to 3 minutes. Public comment cards are located conveniently in the back of the room and should be submitted to the deputy clerk who sits to my left and your right of the podium. Is there any public comment on miscellaneous items? Any public comment on miscellaneous items? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment portion. Clerk of the court, Mr. Matt Reynolds.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I have nothing.
I've already closed the public comment. Well, go ahead, Mr. I'll wait just a moment.
May not have realized she had a miscellaneous comment. Yeah.
we're good? Okay. Mr. Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have nothing this morning.
Thank you. Mr. Commando?
Nothing additional, thank you, sir.
Thank you. County Administrator, Mr. Suggs?
No, sir, I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Commissioner comments, starting to my right, Mr. Adamsack. I have none. Commissioner Turner?
I have none.
Commissioner Pickens?
I just want to make note and congratulate the St. Johns River State College Vikings. Coach Ross Jones, head baseball coach, and his nephew, Coach Joey Pound, the girls softball coach, and President Pickens, for both of them winning their respective districts in Junior College District 2. The boys will be headed, I think, to Omaha, Nebraska, for the championship. I'm not exactly sure the girls' path, but they'll move forward. And I just think it's great of everything that's happening out there. And they have moved to Division II just a couple of years ago. And with this is just living proof that they're very competitive. So I just wanted to congratulate all of them. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Wilkinson?
I have none.
And I have one item. Don't need to make a discussion today. We'll put on new business. But, ladies and gentlemen, we got to talk about that Ronnie Clark building. I'm getting some complaints about the looks of it and what the plan is for the future. But if you don't mind, we'll put it on new business for the next meeting downtown. Okay, so I have other.
That's definitely going to be quite the discussion.
Yeah, I know. So no more commissioner comments. Seeing no more comments or nothing good for the order, this meeting is now canceled. Don't forget this meeting's ended. Adjourned. Our animal services building groundbreaking's at 2:00 today. Thank you.